All right, we are driving home from work. It is like 3:15. Got a meeting at 4, so trying to head home before that meeting kicks off. But we did just have a big trade go down. Second trade this week. But this trade involves one of the players I'm playing, being Bobby's team. So I'm just going to put the trade up on the screen for you here somewhere when I figure out how to edit that in. But it looks like we have Jonathan Taylor and Christian McCaffrey being traded. Bobby had his 4 running back ones, 4 top 10 running backs, and he replaces that for 3 running backs, who I would still say are all top 10, but he does get some depth at wide receiver, adding in Debo and Cortland Sutton while giving away Javonte Williams. I will say that I don't know that Cortland Sutton and Debo are worth Javonte Williams by themselves. Maybe some might disagree with me, and given Bobby's team with his weakness at wide receiver, I could definitely see an argument there. I just think Javonte is on one of the best offenses in the league, and as the Cowboys offense goes, he will go. And I kind of just pencil him in for a touchdown nearly every week, and he's definitely capable of getting 2 or 3. So I think Bobby lost maybe a little bit stability in his team, but gets a lot more flexibility, allowing him to rotate in those wide receiver spots. He can play Zay, he can play Debo, he can play Sutton. I will say, I feel like Sutton, I'm just behind on. I had him in my other league. I just traded him recently. He just got a trade again for the second time this season. I feel like he is more of a name rather than an actual producer. Don't get me wrong, his numbers have been decent this year. But I feel like the hype, the Broncos wide receiver 1, everybody wants that, especially with the way Bo Nix has been playing for the most part this season. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like his name value is a lot higher than his actual value. And then Debo, credit to Debo. He's been playing well this year. Terry just got hurt, and he gets Jaden back. So I do like the buy low opportunity for Bobby there. Like I said, makes him more flexible, but maybe a bit less solid. And as for me, that just means I do not have to play Jonathan Taylor this week, or Javonte against the Cardinals, which I believe is Monday night. And I figured, they're just going to run wild on the Cardinals, whose defense is actually not that bad. Their offense is just terrible. So we'll see. But it'll be nice getting to be able to fade those 2 players this weekend. That being said, I am going to put up me and Bobby's lineup here now as I talk about our matchup. I am going off the dome, so please excuse me. But quarterbacks, we got Herb against Bo Nix. I think it's kind of a wash. I do have Herb playing the Titans. We'll see how that game script looks and how much they decide to throw the ball. It might just be a Kamani Vidal game, but I do expect Herbert to have at least 200 yards passing, at least a touchdown or 2, and then maybe 30 or 40 rushing yards to go with it. He has had some good rushing numbers this year, getting 30 plus yards in 4 of his games, but I just don't think he'll need to do that against the Titans, and Joe Alt is now back, so he should have a little bit more time to throw against a Titans defense that has not looked good, as good as they did last year. Maybe they're on the field a lot. Maybe they just don't have that big playability. I know they've had a couple injuries throughout the year, but they're definitely a defense that can be had. Next up, we have our running back slot. I am playing Kamani Vidal, and I'm just going to throw Christian McCaffrey in there for Bobby, as he has, 3 running backs that can fill that spot. Again, Vidal playing the Titans. Good opportunity against a bad team, could be positive game script and get a lot of work like he did last week, but you're just crazy if you don't think McCaffrey is going to outscore Vidal this week. So there we go. Wide receiver 1, right now I have Keenan in my wide receiver 1 spot, starting off with 3 Chargers. Very risky, but if you can't do them when they're playing the Titans, when can you do it? And he has Zay Flowers. I do think Zay Flowers is a good second half of the year candidate. Tried to buy low on him a couple times, but Bobby was asking a little too much for what I wanted, what he wanted from me. But I do think he's due for a better second half of the year, and I do think that he will have a good performance in Lamar's first game back, given that he does play. I'm pulling into my driveway, so I will make a second video and stitch it to this. All right, we are back going through the lineup. Already went over our quarterback, running back, and starting wide receivers. Next, we're going to go over the tight ends, flexes, and then defense and kicker. We'll just call a wash. But tight end, I do have McBride against Dallas, and he has Ferguson against Arizona. So both of them will be playing on Monday night against each other. I definitely think Dallas's defense can more be had by any position group than almost any other defense in the league. And McBride is what I would consider the best tight end in fantasy football right now. So I like my ability to beat him there, but Jake Ferguson obviously has the capability to explode if the Arizona defense decides to key on CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. Next, we're going through our first flex spot, which I have Nico Collins currently, and I'm going to put Jahmyr Gibbs there for Bobby because he currently has Jonathan Taylor in there. I do have Nico against Denver's defense, which should be without Surtain. I believe he's out around 4 weeks, but Denver's defense is really good. Should get a good pass rush on Stroud, and their corners, even their backup corners, have actually been pretty good this year. Their rookie corner, their nickel guy, has been coming in recently and doing well. I can't remember his name. But we do have Gibbs against Minnesota. That could be a really positive game script for the Lions. I just got to hope Demont gets a touchdown, Amon-Ra gets a touchdown, and that way Gibbs leaves with hopefully no more than 1. Even if he gets 2, we could maybe squeak by okay if he gets low yardage totals, but I don't see that happening. Next, I have Bam Knight, again, playing on Monday night against Dallas. Dallas's defense can be had. And I'm not too sure who we're going to put for Bobby there because the trade just went through and it is now empty. So let's just say Sutton. Again, Sutton in the same matchup as Nico Collins. Houston's defense is tough, and Derek Scrubbly is a freak, so do not play him, Bobby, unless you want a 0 piece. Next, I have DeAndre Swift in my last flex spot, and then that leaves Bobby with who knows? Oh, that leaves Bobby with Bijan, who's currently in his RB slot. I mean, I like Swift. He's been good this year, but he's not going to outperform Bijan. I will say Bijan does play New England, whose defense I'm becoming more and more convinced of. And a lot of Bobby's matchups actually do not favor his team. So I do think I'm in for a surprise this week, but as we know, everyone thinks my team is shit, and everyone thinks Bobby's team is God. Same thing happened last week. Brennan came with the Monday night upset, coming back from like 20 points down and beat him. So I may need something similar on Monday night with my Cardinals players. And then kicker, whatever. Both of them are playing outdoors. Might change that. That's really all I care about for kickers is that, and if their offense is half decent. And then defense, he has the Niners defense playing against the Giants, who the Giants are banged up. And it is in New York, but San Fran's probably more banged up, even on defense. So I honestly would not be surprised if this game got into a semi shootout. I mean, these teams aren't putting up 30, but I could see this game hitting the over for sure. And then I have Seattle at Washington. Defenses this week were fucking terrible, but I get a primetime game. Seattle's defense has been playing well, and it's Jaden's first week back. Maybe it takes a little while for him to get into the flow of things. And honestly, he wasn't killing it before he got out. So I don't expect him to explode in this game, but we shall see. I did not make this the line of the week as I wanted Strat to be favored this week. I thought he had really good matchups and thought that he could pull out the win, especially with underdogs being 6-2 against the spread this year. I need to hit on some of these favorites, but send me your reactions, like and subscribe. If you want me to post your reaction to the trade or your matchup, I will get that up as soon as I can. So see y'all later. Good luck, boys. And Dylan, I'm going to need that chug in the next 4 hours or we're doubling it. All right. Peace.